Hello, welcome to tonight's episode of Conversations from Backstage. I'm Chad McDonald, Cultural Arts Superintendent for the City of Cookeville. We hope you enjoy what you see and look forward to providing this content on a regular basis. Please subscribe to our channel and leave ideas for future episodes in the comments below. Enjoy the show!
Good evening and welcome. Thanks for joining us for the second episode of Conversations from Backstage. In this episode, we are going to be talking about lighting design with Patrick Mannle and myself. We're going to take you on a little bit of a tour of the equipment and tools and software that we use to create the light that you see when you see an event, a play, dance recital, anything like that. So if you will join me, we'll get started and I'll take you on a tour. So I'm going to take you into the light booth, which is conveniently located right next to my office, and we will join Patrick. Hey, Pat.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. So we're going over some lighting design stuff today, so I thought we'd talk to you.
Yes.
How do we start lighting design?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, the first thing we've got to do is we've got to read the script because we want to know the setting of the play. We want to know, is it inside? Is it outside? Is it span of one day? Is it seasons? So that we can kind of get an idea of what kind of lighting we're going to need for the show.
Gotcha.
The next thing we're going to do is kind of like when you're building a house and you have to draw blueprints. We use a program we like to call Drafty, which is a program that lets us design our light rig, what it's going to look like and how we're going to hang and focus different instruments. So why don't we take a look at Drafty? I think you're going to do a good job of explaining how we use Drafty to kind of set that all up.
Great, we'll do that. So if you will follow me, we'll go this way, and all of that happens right here. So we use a simplified version of a drafting program called Drafty that is made for entertainment use. It has all the things that we use specifically, and we don't have to do a lot of the work on the front end to get everything done. So let's show you a little bit of this. You would basically start with a blank page like this. You would add in your set parameters. Let's just say that this rectangle is the size of how big our set is going to be, or how we're going to put it there. Then we could add some set pieces to it. Let's say that this is, a bedroom of 3 children. It's got 3 beds in there, and then you'd have like a nursery area, and let's just say that this is a play area or whatever. It doesn't really matter because we're just kind of trying to show you what's going on here. And then you would add pipe. Get that where you want it, where it would be on the stage, because this is where our electrics would be. And then we'll get 4 of those because we've got 4 on stage. Like that, like that. And that would show where your lights would be above the set as you go. And you keep adding things on there. You add lights and all that until you get to a finished one, which would look like this. As you can see, there's a lot of lights on there. This is actually our current set plot, and it has all of this stuff on here. It shows us where our lights are supposed to be. And so the reason we do this is it shows the angles and all of those sorts of things that we need. And also we can print this out very large, take it down on stage with us, and we can hang all of the lights, because as you see, it shows us the type of light. Here is a source 4. Here are some Parnells like this. And that shows you, then we can go down there and we know where we need to hang all of those things. So that's a quick look at what we use to plot out what we are going to do. So now we'll go back and we'll join Pat again for a look at the other things that we use to do lights.
So now that we know what Drafty is all about, where should we go next?
Well, the next thing we have to do, and this is part of the conceptualizing after we read the script and determining location and things, is we want to kind of start picking out our colors. Like, what different colors do we want to use for the show? And that's one of the great things about lighting design, is it's kind of like painting, only you get to paint with light, because there are so many different colors that you can use. And if you look right over here on our gel cutting table, you can see just some examples of some of the colors that we're using currently for our dance season, which we usually have going on at this time. It's kind of what we have set up now, just in case. And then we also have something here called a little swatch book, which is just like a paint swatch book. So what you do as a lighting designer is you'll kind of say, well, I want this kind of feel or this kind of look. I want it to look like a dark, scary night or spooky. You can kind of go through here and get an idea of, what might look or capture that mood. And then you can try it on the lights and see what it looks like.
Yeah, great.
Once we've got our colors selected, it's time to start the real heavy duty work. And that's what we call hang and focus.
All right. Well, do we want to go up on the catwalk and see how that happens?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Okay, now that we've gathered some tools to go up to the catwalk for focusing, what are the tools that we're going to use up there?
All right. Number one of the most important tools to have is a set of gloves. Those lights get extremely hot, and so you kind of want to protect your hands because you can burn them. They're also, twisting bolts and things like that. You can get little knuckle busters. So it's good to have a set of good, hard work gloves. Another important thing we need is a multimeter. Sometimes we may have a light that's not working properly, so we kind of want to check. Is it a bulb, or what we call in the business, a lamp, or is it the plug? There may be a problem with the wiring in there. So this multimeter kind of helps us diagnose what the problem is so we can fix it. The next two are probably the most important tools for you to have. These are wrenches. So we tend to use like a little crescent wrench, or some call these spanners. Or we also have a specifically designed little tool that is for lighting designers and lighting techs. This has all different shapes and sizes of bolts and nuts cut out so that you can quickly move from different bolts, because a lot of lights have different size bolts on them. So you need to be able to move quickly from one bolt to the next. And this is a great tool to do that with.
Good.
The next thing we do is we go up top to the front of house, where we start our front of house lighting, which is what we use to light actors and dancers from the front. So you get a good, nice wash on their faces, so you can see those faces.
All right, well, let's go on up then. Let's show them how we get up there.
Yes. You're going to slim me down in this, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
This camera takes away 30 pounds.
Oh, good. All right, so this is the light switch for the catwalk.
Boom.
And this is what we use. This is the...
Yeah, and so we usually don't let anybody up here. This is not a public area, but since you guys get a special tour, we're going to do it.
Sometimes first time up here, it's hard to look down because it's kind of a fall.
And just a note on safety, usually we would not be doing any work up here when anybody is down in the auditorium, because this is directly above the seating in the house.
Yes.
So yeah, there's nobody in here. We know that there's nobody in here, so we're taking you on this little tour.
Okay. So we're up here on our front of house, which, like I said, this is how we light the front of our performers. So you can see their nice faces. We have mostly what we use up front is what we call the source 4s that you saw in that drafty plot Matt drew up. These are great. They're called ellipsoidals. They're kind of nice for a nice tight spot. And we can do a bunch of different things with these. We can make angles. We can make sharp beams. We can make soft beams. Whatever we really need to do. The great thing about these is essentially you have a lot of control with your light. You'll see here also we have these little things right here where we're plugging in to lights. These are our circuits or our dimmers, and they run all the way down to our basement, which is where we get power for these. These are essentially like an address, and when we are at the light board is essentially like a postal carrier. The light board sends a signal or delivers a message to a specific address, and this would be the address that the signal comes to, and the board tells this address what we want that light to do. We always safety everything up here. These are really secure. They're not going to go anywhere, but You never know. It's always good to be safe. You want to show them how we focus?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we have an awesome app with our new light board in which we can control the light board itself. So I can pull it up, hopefully. What I have to do actually is set up my network. We have a special network that is for just the light board. So let me pull that up. Takes a little bit. There, all right, we're good to go. So now we can go into our app. We can select the light board. I go to face panel. Let's say I want to bring up channel number 1, which is the address, what I'm sending a signal to. So I'll do 1, and I want to bring it all the way up. So I just hit full, and it's going to bring up a light on stage. You can see that light there. Now, one of the things about lighting design is you need it to be as dark as possible when you're focusing because you don't want a lot of contamination, all these other lights that are on. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn all those off. And so now, obviously we got lights up here so we can film, but so now I've got a nice dark space in which I can do my lights. And so, like I said, with these ellipsoidals, with these source force, I can do all kinds of things. I can make a sharp edge like that. I can cut, I can make any shape. If I want to make a square, I can do that. And then I can make a square, so I just have one tight little box. You know, we can put, what we'll show you later is we can put patterns in these things to make different shapes and add texture, what we call texture. So lots of different things we can do here. But that's how you kind of focus one of these lights. And like I said, they get really hot. I don't have my gloves right now, but we just turned this one on. So for dance, we don't want it on that cyc back there. We don't want to contaminate that because that'll wash out the colors we're using.
That's the white background all the way in the back.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're just kind of shutter off these curtains too. Pull my shutter in. I'm going to kind of angle it out a little bit so I can cover as much space as I need. I'm going to tighten it with this little T-bolt right there. And then I'm going to run my lens barrel out just a little bit to soften that edge. So I got a nice soft edge. And there I go. I'm focused. I'm ready to move on to the next set and on and on and on. Now what we use from up front is we usually do what we call warms and cools. You know, you have a warm, which is typically like a pink or an amber, and a blue, which is usually a purple or a blue. Usually, I love blue, so I use a lot of blue. So that's what we do when we do lights and when we get started with our focusing.
All right.
Why, hello. Welcome. We're down on stage now, just kind of prepping, getting ready to do some focusing on stage.
All right, so we've got the dance plot set up. So let's show them some of the components of a dance plot that are a little bit unique to it.
Excellent. Well, one of the things that's really unique about dance lighting is that we use something here we call our low sides. Because one of the important things about dance, and the most important things about dance, is not so much the face, but we're interested in lighting the body. So these low sides allow us to light the body and give more profile and definition to the dancers. It's all about creating illusions and shapes and depths. So that's what's different about dance light. You won't typically see this in a regular stage production, but you'll certainly see them in pretty much every dance recital you ever go to. Yeah. They're huge in dance.
Yeah, we have this right here. This top light is a blue that we like. The bottom light, or the middle light, is an amber, and then this bottom light is Broadway pink, number 339. It's a very, very good light for dance. And we have these set up on about 4 areas on each side. So we've got some right here, and some right here, and some. And Pat got them up for us so that we can see how they kind of work. Oh, see, you can see it really well there on Pat. You can see the pink on one side and then the ambers on the other, and see how it kind of defines his body for when he would be dancing.
Yeah. God forbid.
All right, so now that we've kind of gone over, that is pretty much the most specifically unique thing to dance. Do we want to show them how we get the lights down here to work on them?
Let's do that.
So where are we going right now?
Well, we're going to our fly rail, what we call the fly rail. And this is how we fly in different items, whether it be our electrics, which we hang all of our lights on, or scenery pieces, or our legs, which these things right here, these are called legs. We use these for masking so that you don't see backstage from the audience. It kind of helps keep that illusion going. But let's say we're gonna bring in some electric so that we can do some work on them, so we can focus some lights. So I'm just gonna pull in our second electric. We've got a nice little brake here. I take off my safety ring, I pull down my brake, and the easiest thing to remember about how you're gonna bring in an electric is your front rope goes whatever direction you want your pipe to go. So if I want my pipe to go down, come to the stage, I pull down on this rope. And you can see right there, it's coming on down. Now these are a lot different than some of the lights that you saw up front. We do use the source 4s on the ends here to do high sides and on the low sides as well. But up on here, since what we're really trying to do is we're trying to get out as much light really as possible, we use some different instruments called Parnells or PARs. They're two different lights, and I'll talk about those. The PAR, which are these and these, just simply spread out a bunch of light. These are great when you want to wash, so you want a nice, good coverage on the stage. We use these PARs. And those are what we use a lot for our overhead lighting. And again, this helps create three-dimensionality to your performers. We also have specials that we use in dance. We have one on this line, and then we have two on our first electric and two on our fourth. And these are just spotlights. You know, these are a way for us, let's say we have a big, huge dance piece, but we want to create a special area for a special dancer. We may be doing a solo. We can use these specials, and that'll highlight just that dancer. So it's a great way, and it's really cool because it comes from the top, so it creates shadow on the face, but adds a really cool element to what we're doing. These really don't require much focusing. You know, if we want to put a color in here, we use a lot of red and blue in dance. This is our gel. It goes in this little frame. We slide it in here. We lock it down. You can, adjust your angle, like how far do you want to tilt it downstage, which is towards the audience, or upstage, which is away from the audience.
A little bit of trivia there for those of you who don't know. The reason it's called upstage and downstage is the fact that they used to use rake stages, which were put on an angle like this. And so when you were going to the back of the stage, you were literally going up. And when you were going down, downstage, you were literally going down towards the audience.
Excellent. So once I've got everything plugged, and that's also part of the light plot that you do, is every number, you want to make sure that you assign a light to every dimmer or every address. So that way I know when I program my board, I know exactly what controls what light. So if you come on the back side here, you'll see those. If Matt will watch his head, you see we've got 30 different circuits on this second electric. So I've got all the way from, I believe, 97 all the way up to 126 that I can use for lights. So that way I can go and I can look on my light plot, because I always bring my light plot down with me when I'm hanging, so I make sure I put things in the right place and I plug them in the right place. So that's a great way for me to be able to keep track of where my lights are. And so I know when I do what's called patching, I know that I get it right. So that when Matt or I are programming, we don't bring up something and say, what is that? That's not supposed to be there. We get it in the right spot. So now once we've got everything plugged and we've got everything gelled, what we next do is we go and we fly this electric out. And just like bringing it in, our front rope goes the direction we want our pipe to go in. So if we want our pipe to go up or out, I can just pull up on this first rope. And you can see there it goes.
All right, so now that we've hung and gelled our lights and got it up to the height that we want, what do we do next?
We focus them.
All right, great. So they're all the way up there at about 20 feet above the deck. You want to show them how we get to them and focus with them?
Let's do it.
All right, great.
So, obviously, when we have our things plugged, we have them gelled, we have them hung, all that good stuff, obviously, we can't focus them when they're down on what we call the deck, when they're all the way down at the bottom, because that's not going to help us at all. Because like I said, just a matter of a foot or two can make a huge difference in how the light is presented, or how much area it covers. So what we've got to do is we've got to use this thing, this lift, to help us focus, because we got to go to where the lights are. So we're going to go up in this little baby here.
I'm going to follow along in the ladder.
And this is great. I mean, we used to have to use a big wooden A-frame ladder. We still have one. But this is the easiest way for us to do this. And so we're all the way up top here. Now, I'm up at the level that I need to be to focus these lights. Again, I would have everything out when I'm going to focus these. I just bring up my phone to what channel I want, and it's going to bring those up. That's where I can go ahead and start focusing. I mean, it's the same as when I was focusing up front of house.
So now we've hung, we've focused, and we've gelled all of our lights that are on stage and on the catwalk. Now what do we do?
The next thing we do, after Matt said we did all those different things, the next thing we got to do is what we call patching. And I'm not going to walk you through that because it's kind of a long, tedious process. But essentially what it is we take those addresses that we plugged our lights into and we assign them to channels. And that's how our lighting rig, or our light board here, communicates with the different lights. So let's say, for example, I have that one light that may be in address 118, but I assign it channel 60. So if I hit channel 60, and then I want it to come up at its brightest, I hit full, and it's going to bring up that light.
Yeah, there's our center special, along with our human facsimile that I placed down there to show you kind of what these lights do for the human body as we're using it.
And it's just Matt and me here, so oftentimes when we're doing a light design, it's just us. So we sometimes have to bring out like chairs and ladders and things as stand-ins for people when we're doing a lighting focus and a lighting design. So we kind of get an idea of what things look like. So that's how that step works. The next thing is we start writing our show. We've got everything done. Matt has done an awesome job of creating something here that makes it really easy for us to do. It's called a magic sheet, and it's like a touch screen computer. It's essentially exactly what it is. So we can know what everything is, where everything is. So let's say we want to bring up our high sides, all of them. I can hit all of my high sides on stage right and all my high sides on stage left. And if I do this little wheel, scroller wheel, I can bring them up to whatever level I want those to go at. So that's a great thing for us. It makes things really simple, especially when we're doing dance season, because you're talking about a dance piece that may be 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 12 minutes long, and you have to write cues. And this is a great way for you to be able to quickly bring up a set of lights so you can quickly write a cue, because time is of the essence. One of the other cool things that we can do, and we didn't talk about this, but I think we mentioned it, is we can create what's called a gobo, or use what's a gobo. And it's just a piece of metal with a design cut in it.
Here, let me show that to them real quick.
Yeah, show them what a gobo looks like.
So this right here, over here on our gel cutting table, is what is called a gobo. This one is a leaf breakup, which I believe is actually what we have on stage right now. And you put these in the light between the lamp and the lenses, and it creates that pattern in shadows on the floor, as Pat will be able to show you right now.
So I can go in, I go and select all my gobos, and I bring up my color wheel, and there you go. We've got a nice design on stage.
And what that does, and what that helps with dance, is it shows movement very well, because you're moving in and out of light and shadow so that you can see how fast somebody's moving. I know that you think you can see that, but it really denotes that when you're moving between those, the light and shadow.
Right, and the audience can't see. We're, unfortunately, not really unfortunately, but our house sits below our stage. If you go to like a big performance hall like T-Pack or something like that, one of the great things about a space like that is because you have balconies and you have the tiers and the loges, you can see down on the stage floor, so you can see all these different patterns. Like I love watching clips from Hamilton, and watching all the different gobos and the moving lights and things like that. So our audience can't actually see these gobos, but you can see the effect of those gobos when the dancers move in and out. What's next, Matt?
So I'm going to go ahead and just focus on the human facsimile that we have there. And why don't you go ahead and take out those gobos.
Okay.
And let's show them what the high sides do down there for...
Okay. Both high sides? You want just from one side?
I mean, I'm sorry, low sides is what I meant
sides.
to say.
Let's do a nice pink. Actually, let me do this real quickly. Go ahead and I'm going to clear this out, and I'm just going to select all low side pinks on both sides.
And there you go. You can see how that just washes the stage. It makes them kind of shadowy. If we dim them down to about 50%, you can make it look very creepy if you wanted to. All right, so that's where we're going to start. We're going to have those low pink sides in there. And let's go ahead and, oh yeah, see there's one, that's from one side and blue from the other, which creates a really neat effect on the dancer. It shows like color on one side and another color on the other, and it looks really cool. And then now there are high sides coming in to help with the effect. And then let's go ahead and just put up a blue on the cyc. We put the blue on the cyc to kind of give some contrast. We usually try to use the cyc to contrast the color of the costume so that you can see the costume really well. And so you see how that's kind of all blending together that way. But the one thing that we're really missing right now with all this is the fact that we can't really see their faces. So we're gonna bring up some front of house, and you'll see it kind of, it washes it out on the camera a little bit because this is just an iPhone camera. But what it really does is it leaves the colors and allows you to see the expressions on their faces.
And then the last thing we do real quickly is we got a look that we like. We can go ahead and record that. So I just hit my little record button, and then I can hit 1, because this is going to be cue number 1, and then I hit enter, and it's there. Yep. So now anytime I want to, if I want to bring up this cue, I can just hit my go button, and it's going to bring up this cue.
Yeah. So now that we've done everything we need to do to complete our light design, we're going to show you what it feels like to be on stage with all those lights on you. Whoa. And you can actually feel the heat as soon as those come on.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again next Thursday at 7. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.